you might be surprised with what I think about this knife. What's going on, guys? Carter here with Edged Mindset. We're going to be talking about the Kunwu Django folding knife here today on the channel. This thing surprised me, and I think it might surprise you as well. First off, right off the bat, this is the first Kunwu knife that I have ever handled or owned. I was kind of leery of the brand. There's just so many of these Chinese-produced knives out there. They're cranking out every single week, all different sizes and models and features, materials, everything. And so whenever these pop up, I'm always a little skeptical. Am I really going to dive into this new brand? Because I can hardly keep up with the brands that I do like. I went ahead and bit the bullet and grabbed this one. Why did I pick up the Django? Well, first off, it's a good-sized knife that I'm into. Let's do some quick specs on here, just so that you have a frame of context on what I'm talking about here when I say that it is a good general-sized knife. Blade length is about 3 1/4 inches, almost 3 1/2 inches. Overall length is 7 3/4. So really fits into that kind of medium-sized knife category that everybody seems to love, myself included. I tend to be drawn towards the big boys, but at the end of the day, this is the size that I mostly put in my pocket. 4.6 ounces, so it doesn't bust the pocket with weight, but it's got a good enough heft to it that it feels substantial. But why was I drawn to this particular design? Well, it's that clip point, baby. I just love clip points. I love Bowie style blades. It's kind of that perfect mix of utilitarian design along with kind of that aggressive clip on the front here. You get all these different points going on. I just love that Bowie blade shape. I was also really intrigued by this fuller here and this darkened acid wash finish across the whole thing. So that's why I wanted to get it. I was also interested in their crossbar lock and this little handle actuation here. That seemed kind of interesting as well. So I ordered it, I bought it, I opened it up. My first impression was not that great. And it's because I don't buy a lot of crossbar locks. And so it threw me off because it doesn't flick like a normal knife would. And when I say normal knife, I mean liner lock, frame lock, something with a detent ball where it has that really crisp let off and then it just flies open. Crossbar lock, you have kind of a detent all the way to there, right? So you've got to get past that when you go to flick it open. And of course, it was brand new, so it was a little bit stiff. So I opened it up, tried to flick it, wasn't really flicking it. I was like, that kind of bugs me, that kind of sucks. But then I started to play with it and let it soak in, and everything changed. And I really started to appreciate this knife. So let's talk about the things that I love about this knife first, and then we'll get into the things that I don't love so much about it. Spoiler alert, there's nothing super glaring in terms of what I don't like. It's kind of personal preference and a couple things here or there. And of course, things like the crossbar lock, that's really more of a, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I'm starting to kind of really warm up to this one. See, I can actually flick this thing quite well. So what do I love? The blade. I already mentioned the blade shape, clip point, Bowie style blade with that dark acid wash. You can get this in different finishes, by the way. You can get it in satin, DLC, all kinds of things. I like that it has an opening hole, and I like that it doesn't have a flipper. I am pretty dang good on flippers nowadays. Don't need any more. I like the jimping here, nice medium jimping. Doesn't tear up your thumb, but it still is functional and works. I like that it's a thinner blade stock with a high hollow grind, so it's very thin behind the edge, very slicey, but you know, it's not delicate. It's pretty robust still. I like that it's using ELMAX steel. I just don't see knife companies using ELMAX as much anymore, and I really like ELMAX. I was very surprised that it wasn't like M390 or 20CV. It seems like everybody's using that steel. Bowler is just raking in the money because everything is M390 nowadays. So I like that it's ELMAX. The titanium scales, this diamond pattern is amazing. It's actually grippy. This is not some pseudo diamond pattern where it's just cross hatching in here and they call it diamond pattern like Riot does. This is actual 3D peaks milled into this titanium handle here. You've got all these nice chamfers. This also has that dark stonewash, dark acid stonewash on there. I like that it comes with a replaceable clip. You can put a wire clip on here. You can do it left hand or right hand. I'm going to leave the 3D titanium milled pocket clip because that's what I like. This is my style clip. I also really like the detail of the brand right there, the K for Kunwu. This thing goes right into the pocket. So nice. It's got lightning holes inside these scales here to reduce weight. I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. But one of the things that really blew me away on this knife is the ergonomics. It is so comfortable. I was worried I wouldn't get a full 4-finger grip on here because it has the choil and it's not a huge knife, but it fits my hand perfectly. It is super comfortable. If you have really big, thick fingers, it might be a little small. You might be a little cramped in here. For me, though, it's perfect. You've got a fully functional choil here. You can choke up, do detail work. Really nice. The action on this thing is absolutely butter smooth. You can see how it just drops shut. No blade play. It is rock solid. One of the more rock solid crossbar locks I've seen in a while. The Benchmades I've had and the Microtechs I've had that use the crossbar style system have all had a little bit of like lock slip. Not failure, but you get that little bit of wiggle where, you know, it's just kind of moving a tad just due to the nature of the lock. The geometry on this one is perfect, right? Nothing like that going on here. You've got a big lanyard hole. Seems like a lot of companies are doing really small holes and you just can't get regular paracord through there, so no problem there. Nice and centered. Everything's good. Now let's talk about things that I don't absolutely love about this knife. First off are these actuation switches here. They look cool and they're kind of unique. They're a little uncomfortable, a little bit sharp, you know, and if you got really calloused fingers, it's not going to be that big a deal. If you don't fidget with your knives, it's not that big a deal. Fully functional. You get a really positive grip on it and it works very well. They sit a little proud for my taste. They kind of poke out quite a bit and they're just a little aggressive. Like these are pretty sharp edges here. And I just think it's unnecessary. You could have achieved the same thing with a little bit less aggression. The other thing that I'm not going to say I don't love. This is kind of personal preference, but it is a little bit handle heavy. The point of balance is like clear back here, and that's because these are pretty thick slabs of titanium, and even though it has lightning holes, it also has, I believe, steel liners in here to work with this mechanism, which is cool, but it adds to the weight, and with this thin stock blade, with this high hollow grind and this opening hole cut out of here, it is a little bit handle heavy. Now, some people like that because it does give you like kind of a blade dancing on your hand kind of thing, right? The blade feels even more slicey because you've got all this weight in your hand, but moving it is so effortless. But to me, it just kind of feels a little unbalanced. The last thing that I'm going to point out is the opening hole is a little small for me. I got big sausage thumbs and fingers, and it's just a little cramped to use. And since it's the only opening method on this knife, I wanted to notate it just in case you were wondering. It's one of those things hard to fix, right? So on a knife this size, you really just don't have the real estate to make it bigger. The only thing you could maybe do is ditch this clothes hanger type shape, do more of a larger oval. That might allow you to kind of get a little bit more in there. It works. I don't slip off generally, but it just feels like I'm close to not being able to get in there. Other than that, though, I think this is a stellar offering from Kunwu Knives. Disclaimer, I paid for this with my own money. I was really drawn to kind of this finish with the diamond pattern. This wasn't sent to me. I got no discount, anything like that. I just wanted to give one of these a shot, and I really like this clip point blade, so I went with the Django, and I'm glad I did, because this thing is absolutely killer. If you're looking for a full titanium, fidgety, functional, high-quality knife, I don't think you're going to go wrong with this guy. It is top tier. All right, guys, let me know down below if you have this knife or if you've looked at this knife. What do you think of it? Are you going to pick one of these up? Not so fast. I did want to take a minute to point out the packaging and all the stuff you get with it, because I think it's a little bit noteworthy for those that care about those things. The box on this thing is beautiful. This kind of metallic blue. I'm not usually one to gush over boxes or packaging. I'm of the mindset I would rather packaging money go into the knife, either make it cheaper or better, but I can't deny that this is a pretty cool presentation piece. This is just from the retailer I got it from, REC. It comes with a kind of a burlappy type little bag, little carrying bag, Kunwu brand on there. That's pretty cool. Here is the wire pocket clip that I mentioned, along with a replacement screw and some Omega, well, not Omega springs, but Omega-like springs to replace in case they break, which is a good touch because Benchmade does not do that. And I'm not aware of any other company providing extra springs for their crossbar style lock. Got a polishing cloth or a microfiber cloth like you would normally see. You've got some information here, just a card. And then you just have a nice foam cutout section for the knife. So big up to Kunwu on their packaging. Really good job, guys. I like everything that you're kind of doing. I'll actually probably pick up 1 or 2 more of these, I would imagine, here in the future. Maybe on the secondary market. I don't know if I'm going to pay retail price. We'll see. Who knows? My life's an open book. We'll see what happens. All right, guys. Truly out this time. Catch you later.